Yes, that's clean. Then we itemize it. This is what I was talking about, the lane of the in-between. In-between fold. Ideally, if you're only doing 2 parts, break at the knuckles and then open it out. But notice she has a hyperextension, so this line looks a little bit different than if it was just a basic 90 degree. Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield and I'm a professional dance choreographer and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States, and we're here taking a look at Irene and Seulgi's track, Naughty! I have seen this dance before, I have learned the chorus of this dance before, but I have never done a full-blown review of it. Not only that, this is a Patreon request. Shout out to Jay for this request. Jay knows that I've seen it, so we're here for a good time and actually going to talk through the mechanisms, the format, the overall vibes of it. We're here for it. Good times, good vibes. This is not the only Red Velvet thing that we are going to have reviewed on the Just Review side. I have so much of it on Patreon, free for everybody to dive into if you like more of Red Velvet. I'm ready. Let's go. So fun. Coming from opposing sides. You better hit that shoulder. Naughty, oh yeah, oh.
아닌 척하지만 흔들린 두 눈 신호질 때마다 자꾸 너를 놀려 애타는 눈빛 눈짓 지금까지 언제 이상하게 짜릿한 기분 천천히 가까워져 우리 둘 사이 거리 손에 닿을 듯 하지만 baby 다시 다가 나 말해 좀 쉽진 않지
Here we go. Da 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 da. Crazy. Da 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 da. Let's go. Yes. Come on, camera, work. We all know that's Spella on this. Wow. Yes, that's clean. Naughty, naughty, oh yeah. They even had time to do a freaking bridge for it, right? Yes. Oh yeah. Yep. Love it. God, it's so fun. It's such a fun choreo, and we ain't done. Oh, look, we're back on green screen. The path has been laid before us. We are walking. Are we gonna go like separate ways? Yep. Bye. Yeah. Separate ways. Wow. How fun. Okay. Choreography video right here. This will be what we review, I'm sure. Gosh, I can't even tell you how many times I've seen certain sections of this. Naughty. Oh, wait. There's two parts that I've seen a lot. The chorus, and then with all the dancers at the end. I am surprised I haven't taken the time to review this. But I'm glad we're doing it now. That's a spell of fingerprint right there. She does that often. I mean, might as well. This section, I think, one of the nicest parts of the whole thing was that mess right there because of the clarity of the lines. Naughty, naughty, oh yeah, oh. Naughty, naughty. You can tell the part that I like is that naughty, 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 oh yeah, oh. Okay, this one too, I do know, if it's like a cover contest and it's like a duo, so many people are going to opt for naughty because it's difficult and you can get high difficulty points by doing it at least close to how they're doing it. Now, Irene and Seulgi really struggle with certain angles. They live in this kind of land or in this kind of land where it's not complete in the 90. I know they spent time learning how to tut. This is a spella through and through dance. I also believe, if my lore timeline is correct with my exposure to spella, way back, I think it was 2020, or yeah, it was right around Dream in a Dream was released. This was released and all that. I picked Dream in a Dream to submit because 10 was a solo artist and it was waving and I really liked it. This one I wanted to learn, and I was going to submit this, but it looks better with a group of 2 versus a single person because certain moments just read better. And there is a lack of, groove that exists that makes it hard to keep this looking good as a fixed cam shot as a soloist. There's not other things to supplement for it. So I understood that. I was that way, guys. Like, way before I started doing YouTube, I've always thought like this. But what is it? So I learned the dance. That's how I learned who Spella was. From there, I followed Spella, the choreographer. And then she did a class on an online platform. I learned that class, freaking died doing it. It was probably one of the most difficult dances that I've ever learned because of my experience with tutting and just how fatiguing it is when you're not conditioned to do it effectively. And I made all these points known whenever we covered Artist of the Month with Sung Han Bin. So now being able to circle back and be like, we've seen so much Spella together that we can appreciate this. It's going to be cool. I have no idea though. I feel like I need to like dive for a second to see what all have I covered about this on YouTube, because it feels like I've covered this before, but in some capacity. Okay, I think it was Hardest Choreographies, that video. And so we've seen the excerpt of it. So I'm sorry if I end up saying similar things to what I said in that one, but I know some of you are like, Jess, I don't even know what that video is. Go look in the depths and the back old content that I have, because it is on YouTube and it's there. So we have seen it like excerpts. We didn't see the full thing. Here we go. I remember talking to Celeste, who's my graphic designer, but also my best friend, who about this dance. So that's probably where a lot of where I'm like, where have I talked about this about? 2 people in real life. Okay, here we go. So we hug. Now this is still real life too. We're just on the internet. So we have our arms, we fold it. I really like the usage of the torso. That is something that I do wish we had more of in the dance, but I also understand the logistic restrictions of time, but also the fact that both of them were fresh to tutting, and getting to do some of these sequences and angles with the type of physical demand required is aggressive. Sing on top of it too. Nightmare. Like, I'm being honest. Like, that is wild work. And that's what makes this what it is. And I wish that we had more style isolated routines, not just from, Seulgi and Irene, but from groups in general. Like, we have so much hybrid nowadays. I mean, it's always kind of been that way, let's be honest. I don't mind that. I love that. However, I love being able to look at a routine and go, this is a tutting routine. And that's what it is. Or this is a popping or a waving routine. Or you can clearly see the style showcased. I love those. Like, I'm naturally drawn to those types of styles of routines because we get to just dissect the beauty of the style itself. Okay, so with tutting is given the name. It is from, the West Coast, and where it's creating shapes. A lot of times people, depends on who you ask, some people have said that it is in reference to hieroglyphics in Egypt, and that's where you get tutting for King Tut. So, but go be curious, do your own research on it, and I would love to hear your perspective in the comments if you have something more to share and elaborate on. So hieroglyphics, framing shapes, also creating different depths, grid lines, things along that. So angles really matter. The land of the in-between only works whenever you subconsciously train the brain in order to know and receive there's a reason for it. Like this, there's a reason for it because it's enclosed, right? But having like an incomplete moment here, like it kind of works. It just depends on if you're doing a wordplay choice or if you've showcased, I know how to do every nook and cranny of it, and this is just an interruption of the flow. It just depends. So having an angle and clarity in right angles especially really helps. And then also having a stylized choice in your torso is really nice. And then you have it with the fold over and the flips on the wrists. And then they end up taking it, framing it. There's so much plane change, meaning that there's different planes of motion and movement that you can do. So switching between going into this plane, right, like these foldovers, and then rotating it around really creates a 3-dimensional, highly in-depth routine. It's nice. And then we do a little trace. You have the hit, and then we now start here. She twinkles it in. Boom, nice little release. We toss it away. Feature. Now these moments here, notice that she has an overfold here, where this, technically you also have the thumb that breaks the flow of the angle because it looks like an acute angle, which cool. She has, that kind of flexibility. However, if we're trying to create a shape, notice that by her over curving, the shape has now lost its form of structure. There's something, we're not conditioned to normally see a shape with this kind of indentation, right? So we're normally used to seeing things that are symmetrical or in balance. It's technically out of balance because of that angle. Is that a bad thing? No, this is just observations, and I commend the effort. This is not easy whatsoever. And in order to actually do it well, you have to do it better than them. And that's the hard thing. It's even hard to get to this stage if you've never done tutting before. The framing to make sure that you have it where it needs to be in order for it to fold and fix point to the next destination, it requires a lot of time. So this one's always risky when you see people cover it, because a lot of times people don't take the time to understand the style itself. They just try to drill the dance. And you could get away with that to a certain degree, but in order for it to have that kind of nuanced accent the way Spella does it, there has to be some lived experience within the style. That's just it's not really a hot take, but it is like, that's a real talk. So all that there, gosh, we have so much to talk about. Okay, I'm going to actually put it at 0.5 so I don't have to stop it as often because there's so much. So we end up taking it, we rotate with the wrist, and then the wrist re-rotates to help with that little snap in the music. But you have that snap causing this rotation to happen in the speed in which it was, and then they frame it, fold it over the eyes. Notice this here, you have to start it here. And then in order to fold it down, this shouldn't rise or lower at all in order to get to the eyes and then fold over. That requires consistency in how you choose to frame and bend the wrist. Goodness gracious, right? Like, we're going to give the girls their flowers, because if the major thing in this is flexibility of a right angle and the usage of a thumb that kind of, yes, I understand the stylization of it, and Spella does it herself, that's fine, but I'm saying a combination of the thumb with the overcurve, with the type of shape you're making. If it was this, is fine, but if you have it in reference with this arm, then you're creating a shape and then it doesn't work as effectively because of the other context within it. Does that make sense? If that's the only problem we have, say la vie, well done, right? Like, I think that's absolutely fine. So they end up folding it, and then we have it involving, and it's not just wrists. They are using their fingers. Like, oh man, this is a really, really, really tricky one. So they have it with a dip down, and I like that you have the camera keyframe it, but they are lowering to create this moment too. It's really nice. Stylized hands, and then we open it up, and then we have a frame. She threads her arms through, and then we end up having the arms crossed, and then we have this little twinkle moment, and then we have our hands pressed. And then so the fingers are so sensitive to how they look. So whether they're here, they can't ever live in the land of the in-between, meaning the gray zone. They have to be established doing something, because we are looking at your hands for the entire 3-minute 20-second situation. So this fold over is fine. Of course, if you're doing a mirrored effect or you're having it go from one place to another, how you have it framed or how you have it folded will be compared. So I would say I really like how she does it. I would say hers could definitely on the first half not be it's either a timing thing where she went too early, or establishing a clear picture moment that matches on both sides. Like, that's cleaner here than the first bit. But then hers are connected and hers aren't. So it's like a little discrepancy there, and it gives a different look too, right? But then we open it up, little X, and we open it, and then we open it up. Stylized hands, you see what I mean? We fold it, switch. That looked great because both of them committed to it. So that's the benefit of having a duo, is that even if it's an abstract angle or design, if the other person is also doing it, whether it's mirrored or it's the same direction or it's complementary high-low, then it will work because it looks like a abstract choice, not a we can't do this. Does that make sense? So they end up rotating and opening it up. So I like the grab, the trust to lift, and that arm's going to be there for her to grab. She also, she in the back, she's able to grab and support. We rotate all this there, just getting the rotations around and make sure you have the right arm in the right place. It's just the playback on this. I bet a lot of these views on this choreography video are just going back to make sure they're doing it, right? And then we switch it up. And then I like the stylized hand here with the trace, and I like the rotation of the head. And then we do a little switch. And then we open it up. Here we go. And she does a little reach, and then you have a little trace up with the arms. So we go out, and then we fold, and then we regress, and then we fold, and then we rotate. So it's an alternating click, 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 click. And that creates a really nice variant, or it creates a pattern. A lot of these are patterns that are just really nice and tasteful. So that was nice, and they're facing different directions. Then they take it, they flick it. On the snap is building the isolated tut. Also, the fact that they're not always looking at the hand, where it's like, I don't know what I'm doing. They're looking as when it's intentional to look there, but they're having the confidence forward, like, I know what I'm doing. I don't even have to look to justify it or verify it. I know I'm right. And that helps with confidence. So then they have a stylized frame around. They fold it up, and then they extend to each other. And then we pull, and then she has her moment. And then we have this moving from one side, and then we have it closed here. And then she's going to do it. And then she does it with a pull. So it's the same thing on both sides. And then she rotates. Shh. So this is the section that I learned. This part right here. Then we go out, in on the crashes. Click, click. And then we swing it. This right here. This is a polyrhythm from hell, okay? So if you do not know how to do the tut in and of itself, get the lower body first. It's toe taps, but it's an up bounce, right? Not only that, it's most replayed for a reason, for sure. So you fold it. So it's low-key equivalent to a cat and mouse, where when one arm is straight, the other one is bent. But the tricky part is the tricky part is doing all of it at the same time. And then they're singing too. Now, granted, the singing is la, 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 la. It's matching the arms. So the arms and the singing you can connect. It's also technically on what's going on with the feet. But the feet are a 2-part repetition. And then the words are all different in syllable. And then this has a cat and mouse chase to it. It's a lot to think about in one go. This is drilling. And then we have it fold it and switch. And then we have it send it out, rotate it out to the front, hit, and then we send it low. And we present on the plate. Then we send it out. Fan yourself, and I like that we fan it, represent, then from there we progress the lower body. Instead of just doing a little weight shift, rigid weight shift, we pick it up, and then they make it more of a moment, letting the hips get involved on these fold overs here. And then they go hit, wrist, then they rotate it, getting it up a trace, and then they represent. And then they swing it to the side, and then they end up inverting the outside knee. Something I'm noticing is the very beginning through this course here, you're seeing more of a groove or more of a bounce or more of a torso and lower body integration. But then you see in a couple other courses that they're still doing a lot of this, which is cool to see, especially if you're moving or you're doing other things and then you have a moment of stillness. But what's going to happen is we're going to condition our brains to see more complexity in the tut for the fact that we can't polyrhythmicize other facets. Because we're already conditioned, this is really tricky stuff, right? So in order to elevate and make it more tricky, so tricky that you have to be still to do it, it's got to be complex, right? Now, is that fair or true? That's the eye of the beholder. That's the subjective side of it. But I know for me, whenever we look at choreographies from a competition standard, this is not a competition routine. This is 2 idols who are taking on tutting for a comeback. Freaking sick. I love it, right? But it's something where a lot of us are conditioned to see choreography from a competitive lens because it is trying to stand out and be a focal point or be something that goes viral or something that is relevant to the day and age. This, I'm trying to think what year this came out. Came out right in the middle of the pandemic, right? So that was a huge social media shift that took place because we were all at home. So I think that's part of the charm of it too, is it's so complex despite a shift in the choreography space to go more simple for people to catch on and want to learn, right? Anyway, so you can tell I'm really passionate about like really, really cool stuff like this. I think this is so freaking cool. So then we end up taking it, she holds it up, and then we're creating a nice tutting trace right here. Out in, and then we frame it to the forearm, bring it up, and then we have the folds. Yeah, let's go, And we also notice that we have some hyperextension happening. Can that affect a tut? Absolutely. You can take advantage of it for a sense of stylization, but a lot of times you want to try to fight to have a straight line. So even the lack of flexibility in the hyperextension that involves flexibility, both can be things that affect your tutting angles immensely if you don't keep them in check. It's better to have competency in the angle as a basic and then stylize it out through your hyperextension than rely on the hyperextension and not fix it or know what to do without it, if that makes sense. Then you have the look to the head. We do a wave, and wave, I do think the wave could have a little bit, I think they ended up exiting it. Let's see. Yeah, they did pretty good on that. I do think we could have itemized it a little bit more. But also, let me talk about your torso. The torso wants to, whenever you're folding and going really staccato or really sharp, your body's not going to want to be smooth at all because there's not a lot of smoothness unless it's choreographed like the wave. But even the wave has a sense of like we're pushing energy through, but we're not creating a stylized, smooth moment as effectively. And I think part of it's because of the influence of the sharp movements that we're doing leading up to this. And we have folds down. Come on now. Now that was nice. It was a nice little chill posture shift moment there. And then we have that naughty. And we pull it in. And then we fold, bringing it up. Then she twinkles it in. And then we get a little zoom in on her. And then she's going to walk away and then do the camera op stuff. So she has the fold in. Now we're focusing more intimately on the fingers this second verse. Fold it out. And then we have a nice little rotation. The amount of times, personally, it took for me to understand this on camera. She's taking it, one of them goes back, and then it starts and threading it through. So the thing is you think she crosses first. No, she goes out and then she sends it. And then you have a nice little thread. And then she twinkles it. Come on, camera, moving down. Then she unravels. Then we itemize it. This is what I was talking about, the land of the in-between. In-between fold. Ideally, if you're only doing 2 parts, break at the knuckles and then open it out. But notice she has a hyperextension, so this line looks a little bit different than if it was just a basic 90 degree. So that's why ideally it can be here, but because she was here, it didn't really bother as much because you still saw the dynamic, if that makes sense. Then she folds it over, and then she hits it, stylized hand, and then she flips it. And the camera also provides really nice complexity to it. She rotates it or sends it around, and it makes the head a trace out of that. So then it folds over. Here we go. So I do believe Spella's got a GoPro in her mouth for sure. So we point, and then she holds it up, down. It looks like our camera person is controlling her. Nice. And then we have the fold overs. Dun, dun, dun. And we send it over to the side. And she has a little moment. Don't you get it? And then she has it. She's going more wrists, but then Spella's going more fingers. And it looks like she's chopping it. Like, that's cool, right? Nice. And then we rotate it through. So both have to do their job. Spella, we have full confidence. She made the dance, so she has a certain degree of competency to do the thing. I also find it funny that we have Coffee just hanging out up there. But she also has to hold it down enough in order to have the angle be what it needs to be in the range to check out between our camera op and our dancer, performer, so it reads the way that it's reading here. The fold over is nice, and then she ends up folding it. Like, look at that. Like, there's a hyperextension there you see from her, right? But it worked well because of how she framed it. And then I like that black out to the back. And then now we're connected. Similar thing as before, but now it's balanced because we have it flip-flopped in who's featured. And then we do a nice little rotation. We trace it. Stylized hands. So she does a nice little finger. Then we unravel it to the back. We fold. All the folds look great. Yep, of course, we're not going to sit here and keep talking about this. You guys understand, like, you're able to pick up on what I'm talking about, right? So the third part is that read really, really well. This is an example of reading super freaking well. Because here with the tut, too, instead of thinking straight side, a lot of times people assume you have to signal your tut directly to the side. That's ideal. You don't have to. You can angle it, and you can still get that 90-degree look. And so that's something where it looks like she's fighting the elbow to go back, but her forearm doesn't have the flexibility to be able to hold that angle accurately to match where the elbow is. So what do you do to fix that? I would say lower the shoulders, and you can move those elbows a little bit more front in order to help get that line, not just here 2-dimensionally, but 3-dimensionally where that forearm and that wrist is, right? But all in all, out of all the sections, this is probably the coolest section. The cleanest in the angle. Look at that. And they switch it. Look at that. Like, God, it's so good. And also there's a little bit of a leg that's being used too. And then she, boom, knocks it up. Like, that's so cool. That part's the coolest part. To me, for sure. And then we open it down, and then we have it go a little bit more subtle in the back, and then a little bit more full in the front. I love that. And then she twinkles it in. Now it's her turn. Shh. Boom, boom, out in. Now here. They're standing. This part in particular gives the impression that it's because of a stylized choice, not because we are incapable of doing this section while also moving. That's what I take that as. It's a dynamic shift, or we're supplementing camera angle or lack of movement to make it different than the first course, right? So that's the same as before. Banana. But in this part, we go fold, 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 bringing it over. We're framing the face so much here. Love it. Then we open it. We have the little switch. Notice we're letting our shoulders help on the impact of some of our choices to help on that heartbeat bass that we're hearing in the track. So then from here, it has a little, it's like cat and mouse little moment out of that with the folds. Then we have this hit. We flip. We bring it in. And then you have the stylized fingers about to go in. And then we open it up, and then we toss it. Also, too, they're going to be on a time limit on how many times they're going to be able to do this freaking dance. It is going to be so fatiguing on the body, especially even if you're a professional dancer. If you do not tut for a living, if you do not engage in tutting on a daily basis, your body is going to tire out and fatigue like nobody's business. Whacking is also the same thing. I would share that sentiment to. House, your body's going to get fatigued if you're not used to doing footwork on a daily basis like that. So that's something that's really interesting about this, is that the angles, not only having the artist do it, but finding dancers to be able to maintain that level. It's interesting that we do have the dancers at the end and not throughout the whole thing. They have to do all of it. That's exhausting, even down to the fingers. Eventually, your hands are not going to want to respond to you. So we end up sitting in. And also, too, you do notice they're not like sitting in it in a dramatic fashion. They're sitting in it because it's in the choreo. So that's what's interesting about this, too, is that part of it could be we don't want to take that risk because we're so busy doing all of this that the last thing on my mind is going to be weight shifting to sit in an arched posture. That's like autopilot doing what we do is really what that looks like. Then we go fold, fold, and then we take up folding it through. And I like the kind of, what's the word? I know it's a bit ugly on my end, but like getting this angle where it's kind of gives a spiral effect is really nice. And then you have the let's go, let's go. This is very like rockette, crisp side, right? It's interesting. We look to the head, we wave it. I like her wave there. We cross, and then we end up having a pose. Naughty. Now this part here too, they could get down into it, but we pick our battles for sure. I like that we're having movement here, but there is this more stiffness to it. I do think it's because of the extremities. And then we do folds on that, but also I have a marathon Red Velvet. I was naturally exposed to them because I saw them debut, right? That's my age, just to clock you for my exposure in the K-pop space. I was a Gen 2 fan. But with these choices, I don't know what is just they're so conditioned because of their upbringing as a group, or if it's just they're not able to do what they normally do as effective because of this newness the density of the newness that they're having to tackle. Despite training in it for a while, it's still newer. So the arm swings are nice, and I like the walk, walk, walk. Yeah, connecting the finger would be nice there. But then naughty is like you get caught, right? Like we're bound, and I like it looks like we have differences where we have more of an inversion here in the knee, and then we have a straight leg, and then we have both of our legs bent. Both are fine, but that's why they look different, right? So if you wanted it to look a certain way, I do prefer this angle more. It looks more natural. This one looks more, crisp, but it doesn't tie into the kind of synths and the basses that we're hearing in the track. I think this one registers better to me on my musicality preferences. And then we go naughty, and then we go a little flick, flick, and then we open it up. Here we go. And then we hold it forward. You could tell she's placing instead of it being like a natural thing that she's just normal to do, because there's a disconnect with the lift up fold over, and the angle isn't as confidently, clear in those choices. Once again, totally fine. And then we have the fold over, because this probably exposed so many people to a style of dance that probably didn't know this existed. So that's why I'm like, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Sometimes somebody's competency of the craft, it is if they are, if they're like, I'm trying to find the best way to word it. Competency comes in whenever you're like battling, right? Or if you're competing it. But here in this case, if you're bringing awareness or you wanted to celebrate a style that's really cool and you want to do it in a way that is respectful to the style. I think they went about it in a very respectful way by hiring who they did, but also it's something where they put in the effort. It wasn't just a trend or a fad for them. They wanted to actually put in the work to do it well and steward it well. And I will back a checkpoint way more than I will if somebody does it really well, but it's just a fad to them personally. So I like this. I like this checkpoint in their journey, and they can only get better from here, right? This is a beautiful, beautiful place for them. Twinkling, like that's really nice. Some people really struggle with that. The folds are fine. We fold it in. We bring it up. Notice that these fingers got affected by this finger. A lot of times, itemizing your fingers get really tricky, right? Like having to do that hurts if you're not used to it. But hers kind of sacrificed a little bit. That's just what happens. My toes do that. Duh, right? But like sometimes some people can't move, like moving the ring finger without moving the other fingers. That's tricky. It just depends on how you're conditioned. And we rotate around the wrist, twinkle it in, and we go that, I like the little head nod there. The fold over is nice. So she hits it up and then send it down through, and then we have it folded, and then we open it, and then we have this little moment here. Now we are, we are low-key matching our syllables, which I think is nice. Open it, fingers are nice, bringing it through, and then we have our little stylized hand moment. Come on. Lifting the arms up, and then we fold it. Now that moment there, you notice it wasn't quite as clear in her angle like other angles that they've done. Not a terrible thing. You get the idea of what's happening. Now dancers, come back in. This part is cool, right? We hold it in, we switch it. You have the naughty. So like this wrist isolated rotation is like, you're naughty, you're chained up, you are, take it away. I like the passes on that, keeps it feminine and cute. Then you have the angle here. Boom, this is left. This one moves and travels over. And then we have the stylized hands. I like that the dancers are helping provide depth in other angles, so it's not just them. You have the whole frame taken over with angles. I love it. And then they're folded over. But you see, even the dancers are not holding it 150% on some of these choices. Fold overs is nice, and then they end up doing all of that. They fold it in, so I like the complexity of the both arms, and then having it sent over from one side to another. It really makes it a full, complete picture. Here we go. More dancers come in. We have the arms. Do-do. Head, boom. Now, all the dancers do it. So that's what makes me assume that this is the part to replicate, right? Fold over to the front. Voila. Hit, bring it out, fold it in, pick it up. Then we go switch. But even our dancers are making mistakes here. I also know, too, there's a chance that some of these dancers, this is not the only gig. This is the part that feels like deja vu. I feel like I have said this about this dance. These dancers, I don't know if they're Stella's dancers. Sorry, not Stella. I don't know if they're Stella's dancers. You can tell whenever it's a Spella dancer versus not at times. But here in this case, I don't know if they're just booked by SM and they're just being asked to do this. I don't know if they're the Red Velvet dancers. I don't know. It just depends on whatever. But I like the fact that they're doing it. You can see some mistakes here. You can see some of the angles being off. Is it because they're Spella students, or are they? I don't know. The logistics on time. There's a chance. I don't know if it's true. There's a chance that these girls are also booked and blessed with other artists too, because dancers can work for multiple groups, right? Unless there's an exclusive clause, right? But anyway, my point though is this is nice. They fold it in, but they're not getting left behind by the dancers is my point. Everybody is going about it in a similar fashion of execution, which actually I think works well for what the routine is, for who the artists are. Because the worst thing would be the dancers are killing it and the artists are struggling and you really see the weak spots. But you see everybody kind of go about it with similar angle choices. It cushions it a little bit better personally based on our association to a professional dancer and what their skill set is as a society. So I like that. Her flexibility in her back. Come on, girl. On her shoulders. So we have the framing. Now we have other people do it. Let's go. Little hip is cute. Also, too, Lily, we had it every other going on here, but then they went back to the line here. Let me see. So all that, yeah, that makes sense. Oh, you know what? It's because this is opposition to the natural angle that they made. And on this side, they are already in the diagonal. That's why it looks like that. Got it. But it doesn't look awkward because the artists are doing it themselves too. So we have the framing here with the elbow. So they've dropped. It looks like we're going drop, which is fun. We twist it. Here we go. Hide and seek. So now everybody's living their best life. We're going to go about this in two ways. We have the dancers where they're doing the folds, bring it in, out, and then they retract it. They have the fold in with the bounce. That all looks really nice. So going back to our ladies, our artists, they fold it in, good angles, they drop it down, and they go framing the face. And I like that the chin going up on that too. We rotate. I like the accent onto the shoulder. I like that they looked at it. Notice they look at it for a stylized choice, not because to check whether or not it's at the right place, right? I like the intention of the projection forward. Now we're doing the same fold overs that we saw in the chorus. And you notice that everybody's hands are all a little bit different, right? The switch off there. So they have the fold, hit, which is a combination of the second chorus, this part. And then they frame it, voila. And they bring it to the inside, to the outside. They sit in it. I like the bevels from our dancers there. And then we do a shoulder on that. Switch, up, frame it. And then we do a nice little retraction, a little framing of the face there. Hip, it's nice. And they look, and I like that now you have the quantity upgraded or updated. So you have more people doing this mirrored look. It looks more full because you have more people. The wave is nice. Opposition in the angles. And they go, cute. I love the cute little pose that they do with that. It's cute. I just said that 3 times. So sorry. So they do this little weight shift on that. And then it's polyrhythmic because of the angles that they're doing. Honestly, this part does remind me of the come inside now. Dun, dun, dun. Backdoor. That mess right here did. Yeah, that looks like backdoor a little bit. But backdoor does a boxer bounce. They actually switch the heels. But I could be... see, now I gotta go check it. Just wanted to check. If you go to the Stray Kids backdoor dance practice, Hyunjin switches the heels. Everybody else just boxer bounces. Here, everybody is shifting the heels. Heels. Yeah. And I like that they take it and they press it out and then they fold. Wrist is nice with the hip. Oh, eh. And then everyone does the fingers. Then we take it to the naughty. So we did that. We saw that with them before they broke off into their solo moments. Then bring it up. And so this one assists this one, and then this one comes up all by itself. And then you go, they knock with using the shoulders and helping with the elbow, and then they frame it, da-da, boom. Really nice. This moment here also makes it look like we have a really nice flexible shoulder to create a fun abstract shape, right? So that's an example of it looking really nice because it's stylized, it's posed, and they both are committing to it. Wow, we finally did it! We looked at Naughty on YouTube! I remember trying to learn the full thing. Now that I'm remembering more, I tried to learn the full dance, and there's just too many moments that look good with 2 people, and also the amount of time it was going to take for me to learn this compared to learning Dream in a Dream was at least 2 to 3-fold, because I wasn't really good at choreo retention from watching something nearly as much as I am now. So I don't know if I'll give this one a try. It's been a long time. It just depends on if you guys want me to do it. I don't know, but this one is it's gnarly. It's on the body if you're not conditioned in it, especially trying to get the angles right. But you guys know me, I know you. I'm Jess. Thank you, Jay, for this request, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.